In the heart of ancient mythology lies a tale so riddled with intrigue and strategy that it still sparks debate centuries later. We're talking about the Trojan Horse, a deception so cunning that it ultimately turned the tides of war and changed the course of history. But, as we peel back the layers of this famous story, you might begin to wonder, is there a truth that weaves through the folklore, one that reveals more about human nature than we've been led to believe? Stay with us, because we're about to dive into the captivating narrative behind one of history's most iconic symbols of trickery and cunning. Imagine this, a siege that dragged on for a decade, unyielding walls guarding one of the ancient world's most prosperous cities, Troy. For years, the Greek armies, led by legendary figures like Achilles and Odysseus, pushed against the city's fortified gates, yet they were met with stalwart resistance. Frustration boiled over as the realization set in, brute force alone would not suffice. Here's where the story takes a brilliant turn. In their ultimate quest for victory, the Greeks conceived a ploy so clever it has echoed through the annals of time. As we delve deeper into the Trojan Horse's legacy, it's fascinating to consider how it reflects a profound understanding of human psychology. The Greeks knew that a mere display of strength wouldn't win them the war. Instead, they needed to ignite the flames of doubt and pride within the Trojans themselves. You might be wondering, how exactly did they pull it off? What were the psychological dynamics at play that made this ruse work? With such colossal stakes, the answers reveal an unexpected complexity. To grasp the full significance of the Trojan Horse, we first need to consider the backdrop of the Trojan War itself, tales of valor, betrayal, and the capriciousness of the gods. The story unfolds in a time when honor was paramount and cunning was not just a tactic, but a celebrated trait among heroes. It began with a fateful decision fueled by love, rage, and revenge. So let's take a step back to understand what led to this iconic moment. According to legend, the spark of the war was ignited when Paris, a prince of Troy, abducted Helen, the wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. The Greeks, enraged by this affront, banded together to reclaim her, resulting in a 10-year siege that has fascinated historians and storytellers alike. You can almost feel the tension building as weeks turned into months, and months morphed into years. Each failed assault left the Greek soldiers weary and increasingly desperate. Pride and glory weighed against the grim reality of ongoing stalemate. Here's something you may not have expected. The Greeks were not just relying on muscle, they were actively employing strategy that would have given modern generals a run for their money. Odysseus, renowned for his intellect, played a pivotal role in crafting the plan for the Trojan Horse. What comes next will leave you speechless. This wasn't merely a matter of creating a large wooden horse. It involved elaborate deception and psychology that took advantage of Trojan beliefs about honor, hospitality, and pride. Can you imagine the scene? The Greek forces, feigning retreat, construct a colossal wooden horse and leave it at the gates of Troy, a supposed offering to the gods for a safe journey home. As the story goes, the Greeks suffused the horse with soldiers hidden inside, including the cunning Odysseus himself. To the Trojans, this wooden beast was a puzzle, a true enigma. Here's where the brilliance emerges. The Greeks cleverly played on the Trojans' sense of curiosity, their pride, and ultimately their desire to celebrate victory. Is it a sign of surrender? One might imagine them asking, eyes gleaming with victory. Could it be a gift of peace? There's a profound psychological insight here. How often do we, as humans, fall prey to the allure of what appears too good to be true? As the Trojans celebrated what they believed would seal their victory, they unwittingly carved the path to their downfall. The horse, an inviting figure at the gates, became a double-edged sword, representing triumph, yet hiding devastation within its hollow structure. You could almost hear the whispers of doubt seeping into the air. Should they trust it? What if it's a trap? But as night fell and the wine flowed, those voices were drowned out by revelry. The Greeks had already exploited their greatest asset, their sense of pride. While the Greeks waited in silence, the Trojans danced, oblivious to the impending doom. As we explore the implications of this cunning act, it's crucial to note how the Trojan horse has transcended mere myth. It's served as a metaphor for deceit and duplicity across ages. Even today, we reference the Trojan horse to signify insidious infiltration disguised as something innocent. But is the tale only about trickery? Or does it unveil deeper truths about vulnerability, trust, and human frailty? One fascinating inquiry is how this story parallels our own contemporary realities, where the lines between truth and deception are more blurred than ever. But let's not lose sight of our tale. As the sun set on that fateful day, the Trojans, in their ecstatic jubilation, rolled the wooden horse into their city. Underneath the very structure meant to symbolize their triumph lay unsuspecting Greek soldiers, poised to enact revenge for a decade of bloodshed. The dawn would soon mark the beginning of a new chapter in history, one characterized by betrayal from within, rather than the forward thrust of a military onslaught. And now, let's take a moment to step into the shoes of the Trojans. Imagine the rush of emotions coursing through them as they paraded around their city, victorious. It's fascinating to think about how their hearts swelled with pride. But lurking beneath that joy was a gnawing sense of complacency. What if the Greeks had indeed surrendered? Or worse, what if they had failed to see the blatant trap lying right before their eyes? It's intriguing to dissect how trust, once bestowed, can morph into vulnerability. You might be mulling over how often we've seen this in our lives, whether in personal relationships or larger societal contexts, where blind trust leads to unexpected consequences. This reflection brings us to a meaningful observation. The Trojan horse is more than a tale of an ancient war, it's a stark reminder of the potential dangers of vanity and overconfidence. As the story progresses, imagine the eerie quiet of the night. The Trojans, now deep in their celebrations, unaware of the horrifying drama that was to unfold at dawn. When day broke, the Greek soldiers slipped from their wooden prison, quickly overwhelming the unsuspecting Trojan sentries, who were still contemplating the horse's portent. Inside the city walls they surged, taking advantage of the momentary chaos as the other Greek forces, whom the Trojans believed had departed, returned to strike. Suddenly, the euphoria blossomed into bedlam, the transformation swift and brutal. It's haunting to think about the aftermath. The very victory the Trojans celebrated turned into a nightmare of destruction and loss. The famed city of Troy, once a jewel of power, found itself slipping into chaos, burned to the ground, its people scattered or enslaved. What carried them from triumph to ruin in such a fleeting moment? The irony remains profound. A ruse built on their own hubris shattered the dreams of an entire civilization. And as we reflect upon this striking narrative, we are left to ponder a critical question: what sacrifices are we making for the illusion of security and victory in our lives? Perhaps, in the pursuit of success or glory, we might overlook essential factors that ground our reality. Now, think with me, the story of the Trojan horse resonates beyond its mythological boundaries. It offers a lens through which we can view our modern world, urging us to question our assumptions and recognize the vulnerabilities ingrained within human nature. Those very walls that once shielded the Trojans from harm became instruments of their undoing. How often do we build our own emotional walls, protecting ourselves from perceived threats, only to insulate ourselves from the truth? We've painted a vivid portrait of deception, pride, and the consequences of misguided trust. But there's more to uncover. As curious as you are, I hear you wondering about the fate of Odysseus and the other Greek heroes. What became of them after the smoke cleared and the city lay in ruins? Were they celebrated as victors, or cursed as mere puppeteers in this tragic play? In the next section, we'll delve into the aftermath of the Trojan War, exploring the fabled journeys of those who sought glory and fame. Together, we will uncover the remnants of a tale that continues to teach us today, the enduring impact of our choices, the fragility of trust, and the quest for redemption that often follows moments of downfall. So don't go anywhere. The story of the Trojan horse is just beginning, and what comes next will illuminate the paths taken and the lessons learned from an iconic moment in history that still resonates within us all. As we resume our exploration, let's shift our focus to the aftermath of the Trojan War and the fabled fates of those heroic figures who orchestrated this monumental ruse. The Greeks emerged victorious, but this victory was laced with complexities, consequences, and the haunting echoes of moral ambiguity. As the smoke cleared over the now fallen city of Troy, one can imagine the atmosphere, heavy with both triumph and trepidation, hanging over the victors. Odysseus, who played a principal role in crafting the strategy behind the Trojan Horse, would soon find that his journey was far from over. Celebrated as a cunning hero and a master tactician, the spoils of victory soon transitioned into a different kind of battle, the struggle for home, identity, and redemption. Known for his unyielding resolve, he was destined to endure a decade-long odyssey filled with trials that would test his wit, strength, and spirit. Odysseus and his men sailed away from Troy, but the gods, ever capricious, had other plans in store. Angering Poseidon, the god of the seas, with their arrogance and hubris, they became entangled in a series of misadventures that mirrored the chaos left in Troy's wake. From the treacherous whirlpools of Charybdis to the seductive enchantments of the sirens, each challenge echoed the theme of downfall that arose from overconfidence, a reminder that the battlefield wasn't confined to a single city, but stretched across the very fabric of life itself. Let's pause for a moment to reflect on the timelessness of these themes. The Greek tragedies, replete with cautionary tales, remind us that our actions influence more than just ourselves. They reverberate through layers of reality, often leading to unforeseen consequences. Much like the narrative of the Trojan Horse, these stories explore what happens when we stray too far into pride or neglect the virtue of humility. As Odysseus's saga unfolded, his journey became emblematic of the human experience, filled with moments of vulnerability and strength. Each obstacle challenged not only his physical prowess but his moral compass, forcing him to confront the very nature of wisdom and leadership. Would he learn from the choices made in precarious moments? Would he navigate the currents of fate with grace? It's essential to consider how his path reflects our own. How often do we find ourselves grappling with unforeseen challenges, sometimes caused by our decisions, other times by forces beyond our control? Odysseus's experiences serve as profound reminders that life, much like the epic tales of antiquity, is seldom linear. Struggles shape our character, resilience is forged in the fires of adversity. While Odysseus fought his way back to Ithaca, tales of another hero unfolded elsewhere, the formidable Achilles. Known for his unparalleled strength and ferocity in battle, Achilles too faced the consequences of the war he fought in defense of honor and glory. However, the tragedy of Achilles lay in the dualities of his nature. His glory was tempered with existential despair. After Troy fell, it's said that Achilles met his end not on the battlefield, but through treachery, a reminder that even the greatest heroes are prone to vulnerability. Legend holds that he was slain by Paris, guided by the hand of Apollo, who targeted his single weak point, his heel. This tale of vulnerability resonates deeply across cultures, reinforcing the idea that even the mightiest among us carry hidden frailties and that hubris can lead to tragic consequences. The legacy of the Trojan War did not stop at its heroes. The aftermath of the conflict engendered immense suffering and loss, not only for the Greeks but also for the Trojans. Each of the victors, having tasted glory, returned to their homelands with a sense of triumph, yet the cost was palpable. Many heroes found their kingdoms in disarray. The toll of war simmered beneath the surface, revealing the fragile nature of peace. Among the notable figures returning to Greece was Agamemnon, the king who had led the united armies against Troy. He returned as a celebrated hero, yet his journey was overshadowed by tragedy. Upon his return to Mycenae, he was confronted by the wrath of his wife, Clytemnestra, who had taken an unfaithful lover in his absence. In a dramatic tale of revenge and betrayal, Clytemnestra murdered him, a stark reminder that personal victory can sow the seeds of domestic destruction. This fate serves as a stark contrast to the superficial glory often celebrated in stories of conquest. It unveils the darker facets of human relationships, where trust can easily spiral into betrayal. The lesson here speaks volumes about the human experience. The structures we build to protect and honor can be upended by the emotions we neglect or underestimate. Perhaps, even in our own lives, we should question the balance between triumph in the external realm and harmony in the internal one. Meanwhile, the fate of the remaining Trojans became a narrative of struggle and survival. In the wake of the destruction, many were scattered, others fled, seeking refuge in distant lands. The once proud city, a beacon of culture and civilization, lay in ruins. The stories of its people morph into different legends, some of resilience, while others highlight the deeper scars left by conflict. Aeneas, a Trojan hero and the protagonist of Virgil's epic, the Iliad, emerged as a figure of hope amidst the ashes of Troy. His journey embodied the challenges of displacement and the quest for a new home, eventually leading to the founding of Rome. Through Aeneas, we recognize the enduring spirit of survival and the necessity of forging paths amidst devastation. His story reminds us that even in loss, new beginnings can emerge, as phoenixes rising from ashes. As the narratives of the Trojan War and its aftermath unfold, they invite us to consider our own journeys. The Trojan Horse, a symbol of cunning strategy, is not merely about betrayal. It encapsulates the dualities of trust and vulnerability, pride and humility. We should ask ourselves, how do we navigate this delicate balance in our own lives? When have we fallen prey to illusions of security or trust? Perhaps these ancient narratives serve as guiding lights, illuminating the paths of caution and awareness. Much like the citizens of Troy, we are conduits of our emotions, each celebration carrying the potential for unexpected repercussions. Yes, the pursuit of victory is a worthy endeavor, but the footprints we leave behind in the process can have lasting impacts on our relationships and the world around us. Now that we've traversed the expansive landscape of the Trojan War, examining the intricacies of strategy, the tumult of human emotion, and the yearning for redemption, let's bring our narrative full circle. As we reflect on the legacy of the Trojan Horse and the stories entwined within its history, we are left with a profound understanding of the forces that shape our lives. The cautionary tale transcends time. As we aspire for success, let us remain vigilant, aware of the vulnerabilities that accompany our endeavors. The Trojan Horse serves as a timeless metaphor for life's deceptive nature. It embodies both triumph and tragedy, reminding us to scrutinize what lies beneath the surface of our apparent victories. In conclusion, the tale of the Trojan Horse is more than an ancient symbol of deceit. It is a persistent reminder of the nuances inherent in human nature. The complexities of trust, pride, and betrayal intertwine to weave a narrative rich with lessons applicable to our modern existence. So, as you embark on your own journey, whether in the quest for success, relationships, or self-discovery, carry with you the lessons from this legendary story. Be wary of the offerings that seem too good to be true, and remember that the most potent protection lies in maintaining awareness and wisdom as you navigate the intricate world around you. Just as Odysseus eventually returned to his home, may you find your own way back to the essence of who you truly are, empowered by the lessons woven through time. Your own Odyssey awaits.